so that you may find tranquility in them. And he has placed between you love and compassion. ولهذا كان اسم حواء مشتقا من الحياة فلا سكن ولا أنس في الحياة بدون المرأة ولو لم تكن حواء من جنس آدم وشكله لما اطمأننا إليها ولما ألفها. I want the sisters to listen to this very closely, because she's making some very, very profound points here. She said the name Hawaa, which is with a ha, not with a soft ha like hada. Hawaa is with that third letter of the alphabet, or the fourth letter of the alphabet. Alifun, ba'un, ta'un, ja'un, jimun, ha'un. Excuse me, the sixth letter of the Arabic alphabet. When we look at the Arabic alphabet, which is called the huruf al-hija'iyya, the Arabic alphabet, you will find that this letter ha is the sixth letter in the Arabic alphabet. Not the ha that is at the end, hawaya. The end of the Arabic alphabet, that's a soft ha. This is a hard ha. The word hawa, hamza, it comes from the word hayat. The word hawa, the name Hawa comes from the word hayat. Hayat in the Arabic language means life. It means life. So what is the connection between the name Hawa and in retrospect to her husband? Because the name Hawa comes from the word hayat, which means life. She said, فَلَا سَكِنْ وَلَا أُنْس فِي الْحَيَاةِ بِدُونِ الْمَرْأَةِ. This shows us that there is no compassion, there is no tranquility in life without a woman. Subhanallah al-Azim. There's no tranquility. There's no compassion in life without a woman. وَلَوْ لَمْ تَكُنْ حَوَى مِنْ جِنْسِ آدَمْ وَشَكْلِهِ لَمَا اطْمَأْنَنَّ إِلَيْهَا وَلَمَّا أَلَّفَهَا. She said, and if Hawa had not been created from Adam, nor did she take on the same shape or form of Adam, Adam would not have found any tranquility in her, nor would he have confided in her for companionship. So look at the wisdom in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala creating Hawa. That the word Hawa, the name Hawa, comes from hayat, life. Meaning there is no tranquility. There is no compassion in the life of a man without a woman. This is where the man, and this is why the Prophet ﷺ said that marrying is half of a man's religion. Because the man is a void in his life until a woman comes into his life. There's a void there. She said, وَفِي خَلْقِ حَوَى مِنْ دِلْعِ آدَمْ مَعْنَى النَّفْسِ بَعِيدَ الْمَدَى عَظِيمَ الدَّلَالَةِ. She said, and in creating, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala creating Hawa from the rib of Adam, there's also a benefit in that. There's also a tremendous benefit in the fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created Hawa from the rib of Adam. There's a tremendous benefit in that. Listen to what the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said. وَاسْتَوْصُوا بِالنِّسَاءِ خَيْرًا فَإِنَّهُنَّ خُلِقْنَا مِنْ ضِلْعٍ وَإِنَّ أَعْوَجَ شَيْءٍ فِي الضِّلْعِ أَعْلَاهُ فَإِنْ ذَهَبْتَ تُقِيمَهُ كَسَرْتَهُ وَإِنْ تَرَكْتَهُ لَمْ يَزِلْ أَعْوَجْ فَاسْتَوْصُوا بِالنِّسَاءِ خَيْرًا. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned in an authentic hadith found in Sahih al-Bukhari and others, where he said, Istawsu bin nisa'i khayra. Treat the women kindly. Treat the women kindly. فَإِنَّهُنَّ خُلِقْنَا مِنْ ضِلْعٍ. For indeed the women were created from a rib. Meaning the woman Hawa. Every woman wasn't created from the rib. Who is he referring to? He's referring to the first woman that was created, who was Hawa, who was the wife of Adam. She was created from the rib of Adam. So she is the origin of every woman. And every woman that came after Hawa takes on the characteristics that Hawa was created with. treat the women kindly, for indeed the women were created from a rib. And the most crooked part of the rib is the top part. And if you go and try to straighten the rib out, you will break it. And if you leave the rib as it is, then you will draw benefit from it. He said, so treat the women kindly. The Prophet ﷺ was a true man. In the essence of the word man, the Prophet ﷺ, he was women savvy. He knew how to deal with women. He knew how to correct them without offending them. He knew how to talk to them without talking at them. The Prophet ﷺ, he was women savvy, which many of the men of today, especially the brothers, they claim to be women savvy, but you will find that these same brothers who claim that they are so women savvy can't keep a wife. In and out of relationship, because you don't know how to deal with a woman, because you don't pay attention to the speech of the Prophet ﷺ. The Prophet ﷺ is giving us, as we're going to see, some jewels here on the origin of a woman, where she comes from. Because when you understand the origin of something, when you understand where it comes from, it better equips you on how to deal with that thing. However, many of the brothers accept Islam and think that they know women. They got all of the answers. However, they can't keep a wife. The Prophet ﷺ, he said in another hadith, إِنَّ الْمَرْأَ خُلِقَتْ مِنْ ضِلْعٍ لَنْ تَسْتَقِيمْ لَكَ عَلَى طَرِيقَةٍ فَإِنِ اسْتَمْتَعْتَ بِهَا اسْتَمْتَعْتَ بِهَا وَبِهَا عِوَجٌ وَإِنْ ذَهَبْتَ تُقِيمَهَا كَسَرْتَهَا وَكَسْرُهَا طَلَاقُهَا. In another narration which clarifies the ambiguity in the first narration, the Prophet ﷺ said that indeed the woman treat the women kindly. The woman was created from a rib, and the crookedest part of the rib is the top part. If you try to straighten it, you'll break it. But if you leave it, then it will never cease to remain crooked. So treat the women kindly. However, in this next narration, the Prophet ﷺ clarified in more detail. He said, إِنَّ الْمَرْأَ خُلِقَتْ مِنْ ضِلْءٍ, that the woman was created from a rib. لَن تَسْتَقِيمَ لَكَ عَلَى طَرِيقَةٍ, and the woman will never be as straight as you want her to be. Subhanallah al-Azim. This class should have probably been for the brothers instead of the sisters. However, the benefit that the sisters can draw from this is that some of you sisters as women don't even know your own origin. You don't even know how to control your own self because you don't know yourself. You don't know your inadequacies. You don't know your deficiencies. As a result of that, you allow things to come out of your mouth. You allow things to come out of your character, which ends up harming you in the long run because you are the one that will be divorced and you will be the one that will be stuck with the children. You will be the one that will be in a haste to go out and look for a job which may or may not allow you to wear your niqab or your jilbab in hopes to provide for, adequate living for you and your children. You lose. The brother doesn't lose, you lose. And the sister has to always keep that in mind. And that doesn't mean that because you lose that you have to stay in a relationship and remain oppressed. That doesn't mean that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala provides. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وَإِن يَتَفَرَّقَانِ يُغْنِيهُمُ اللَّهُ مِنْ فَضْلِهِ, that if they separate, if the two spouses separate, then Allah will provide for both of them adequately from His provision. وَهُوَ خَيْرُ الرَّازِقِينَ, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the best of providers. So don't ever think that you have to remain in a relationship out of fear of financial instability. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala provides. However, what we want the sisters to take into consideration is that you are a woman and your makeup is different than a man. And you have to know yourself and know your inadequacies, know your deficiencies, so that you know when it's time to hold them and when it's time to fold them. However, our sisters are not able to make that distinction. So